This lesson, we're going to talk about something called relational operators. And what that means is, what are we using to make a comparison? Look down here, I say if first name equals Steve. So equal is a relational operator. It tells us how we are making the comparison. Are we looking for something where the value stored in first name is equal to Steve? Or do we use a different relational operator up here where we're looking at the age? Is it equal to 40, or do we want to ask, is it greater than 40? That sort of thing. So these sort of operators are what's used in these conditional or relational expressions that we see like in an if statement. So just walking through this a little bit, we get the name and we get their age. And because age, again, even though we enter a number, it's going to be converted into a true, or rather, it is a string when it comes back from an input function, and we have to convert it into a real number before we make any numeric comparison to it. So as I mentioned here, you have equal. Now that seems a little weird. Normally you would just say, well, why don't we say if age equals 40? The programming language requires the use of a double equal sign to check for equality, either with a number or with a string done down here. Fortunately, Python will give you an error if you just put one equal sign there. There are other programming languages often won't give you an error, and it'll do something you didn't intend. But I'm glad that Python does that. It's too easy to leave that second equal off because it's not very intuitive to put it there. But many programming languages require a double equal for doing comparison from a variable or one value to another to see for equality. So we're going to learn some others here in a minute, but let's just go ahead and do this. So I'm saying if the age is equal to 40, you are now over the hill. Now, else, remember, this is evaluated to true. I'm 40, then I'm over the hill. I say else, print you are not 40. Okay, I could be 41 or I could be 39, but I'm not 40. Down here, it falls through to the next thing. It says, is first name equals Steve? And if I entered Steve up here in the first name, it would say you are the instructor. Else it would say you are a student. So I'll do one or the other. And I put things in the main function like I was talking about earlier in class. So let's go ahead and run this. So what is your name? I'll go ahead and put Steve, and I'll say, just for purposes of seeing this code work, I'll say I'm 40. Not true, but you are now over the hill. That part's true. You are the instructor. Okay, so we saw that we took the code path that we were expecting. Now, it's probably more likely we don't want to call a 22-year-old over the hill. So we probably meant to say greater than. So let's put a greater than symbol. So if the age is greater than 40, you are over the hill. You are not, I'll just change this to you are not over the hill. So you are now or you are not. So it depends there. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll do set it run. And there we are, your name. I'll still be Steve here. And I'll say 22, you are not over the hill. If we run it again, stacks up here. You see it shows you all the runs. So if you want to clear that out, you actually have to close that window. So Steve, and then I'll put 55. You are now over the hill. So it took the paths we were expecting. Now, the standard mathematical function is to say greater than or equal to. So you can do that, greater than or equal to 40. So even if I'm 40, I will be over the hill. Let's go ahead and try that. Run. What's your name? Steve. Oops. And I'll put in 40. And it does say, I am now over the hill. So you've got greater than equal. You can also do, less than equal. One thing you can do, and I'm going to do this in down here with a string, is you can look for equality, Steve, but I can also look for something not equal to something. I can say, if the first name is not Steve, I could say, well, if you're not Steve, you are the student. And then I could assume that over here, you are the instructor. Now it gets awkward a little bit when you use the not symbol. You want to be careful because sometimes talking through it's not as clear. So if first name is not Steve, so if I entered Steve, This expression would evaluate to be false. If it's not Steve, or excuse me, it would evaluate to be, yeah, false. If I put in Steve, it would be false that my name is not Steve. See how hard that is to talk? So use the not equals wherever it's really clearer to do so. Don't create awkwardness for you with kind of talking in double negatives with not. So this should work though. I reversed it. So let's go ahead and give it a quick whirl. Name, and I'll say Steve at my age, 44, and I'm over the hill, and I am R, the instructor. So this is true. It took the negative path in this case. So there's other relational operators, but things like greater than, equal to, and less than. When you deal with uh, strings, this stuff behaves a little bit differently. If I say if first name greater than Steve, let's do it that way. I'm going to put you are the instructor again. I'll put student again this way. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this now. So I say run module, and I say the name is Steve, and what's my age? 55. So it says you are now over the hill. That's true, and I am a student, which is true because Steve is not greater than Steve. If we go back and look at this, first name is Steve, and it's not greater than Steve. But what if I did something else like Bob? Let's try that. What's your name? Bob. 55. You are a student because Bob is not greater than Steve. Let's try a name farther down the alphabet, like a Tom or something. Let's give that a whirl. Close that out. Tom. You are not, you are the instructor. So Tom is greater than Steve in the alphabet. So you have to be careful. When you're doing string comparisons, it does it starting with the leftmost character and then going to the right. So T is greater than S, so it's automatically greater. But if I had like Sam, S and S are the same, but A is less than T for the next comparison, so it would be less. So you just got to be careful when you're doing comparisons with strings, when you're using things like greater than or greater than and equal to. All right, so we're going to wrap this up now. We're going to move on.